Welcome to Motoroids, guys. My name is Amit, and this, of course, is the new 2025 Skoda Octavia RS. Let's first take this baby onto the track, and then we'll talk about what's new, how much power it has, and what goodies you get inside of the cabin. So this is the back straight, and we have already crossed 200. The top speed claimed is 250, and here we brake hard. Braking is super strong. I think this is more than sufficient for the road if this is going to be stopping at such a short distance on the backstreet of BIC. I drove the BMW M340i, which is a rear wheel drive here, a lot more power. And since I drove the M3 and M4 also alongside that car, I can say with confidence that in terms of the way the suspension lets the car handle, this is pretty close. Of course, the M3 and the M4 are unshakable, they are absolute beasts. But as far as handling goes, especially for a front wheel drive car, this is phenomenal. There is a wee bit of body roll, but this is not a sports car like sports track car, mind you. This can ferry your family too in comfort over Indian roads, and especially with a front wheel drive setup and the kind of practicality with 600 liters of boot that this car offers, it's a pretty darn good handler, I must say. Of course, you can feel the front wheels coming into play, trying to propel themselves, trying to maybe wash out a little bit. So that's one aspect where a rear wheel drive car would have done a little bit better. But boy, oh boy, I think this car will be an absolute hoot in the real world. The BIC is quite a handful even for the best performance cars, and the fact that this car is holding its own is testimony to the fact that it is a fantastic machine. Now, this is based on the MQB Evo platform that also powers the Golf GTI. And while this car is capped at 250 kilometers per hour, we drove the Golf GTI at the Natrax test track where there's absolutely no limit, and at 267 kilometers per hour, while being on the banking, that car was rock solid. And under the skin, this car is also the same. So you can completely rely on the stability and the fact that this guy is not going to move anywhere. And this is not, understand, this is not the ideal kind of a scenario for this car. So for all practical intents and purposes, this will be an absolute hoot on the road. And especially with the GST kicking in, you should consider yourselves lucky, because this car for 50 lakh rupees ex-showroom would have been upwards of 60 lakh rupees, 70 even I would say, had the GST not been reduced. 100 units have been offered and they've all been lapped up. Everything is gone. So if you want to own this car, you cannot. And those who can are going to celebrate it for a very long time to come. Another word has to be put in about the steering. It weighs up quite nicely as you turn it in. As the speed builds up, it doesn't feel artificial. Although I have experienced weightier steering wheels, but it feels very true, very natural, and it allows you to place the car precisely onto the road. And into the pit lane now. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Dhruv, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dhruv.
So let's just.
Dhruv is the Polo GTI champion. that of course was a lot of fun. A few things, like I mentioned while I was driving the car also, this track is a little too much for a car which is not a track car per se. It's a sports car, it's a fun car, but for a track like BIC, if you compare it with cars like say the 340i or the M cars, those cars are more befitting for this fast track. But in terms of its handling for an everyday family car, I really think that the suspension is very well sorted and it holds its line fantastic. The one thing that I want to talk about is the electronic drift, and it really reins in the torque steer. It allows the car to come in very quickly. Although the front wheel drive system, when you're attacking a corner too fast and you are turned in, it does affect the fact that you cannot go very fast around it. The electronic nanny comes in. But all in all, for all intents and purposes for the street, this car is absolutely a hoot. If you want to buy this car, well, you cannot, because only 100 units have been imported. All of those have been sold out. 50 lakh rupees ex-showroom. People have lapped it up. And let's now start talking about what all is special about this machine. So as you can see, this is the flagship Mamba green color. You also have 4 more colors. You have a white, you have a black, you have a red, and you have a blue. You can see those colors on the screen right now. And in terms of its appearance, as you can see, it gets this wide, big, black, glossy grille. And of course, this RS badging. The V essentially was for some copyright purposes. The name of this car is RS, not the VRS globally, and now in India as well. So this is an RS. You also get these bigger intakes on the lower bumper. You have these air curtains. All in all, it looks a lot more aggressive. Now, a few important things which probably are not visible just as you look at the car. This headlight here is a fully automated matrix lighting, and this is anti-dazzle. So this is a very advanced piece of machinery. Now, this is how the DRLs look like, and it's a combination. So these DRLs also have the blinkers. Let me just turn them on and show you how they look. Now, the front blinkers are not swipe out, but the rear units, as you can see, are. Now, this car is the India spec car, and like I mentioned, this one has a proper 360-degree camera, and the wing units are sitting here. And up front also you'll see the 360-degree camera unit. You'll also get ADAS features with this car. So you can see the ADAS module sitting here. You have front sensors. I love this Mamba green color. You have this beautiful Skoda bag sitting on the bonnet. Classical European lines. It's a pretty car to look at. And when you come towards the side, you'll see these beautiful big 19-inch two-tone alloys which lend this car a lot of aggression. You have that red painted caliper peeping out of the wheels. 225 section, 19-inch wheels, really nice to look at. And I know a lot of you would be interested in knowing what the ground clearance here is. Now, the spec sheet reads 128 mm, but to be very honest, it looks more than that. I mean, 128 mm typically sits a little lower than this, and I think that this would be able to take some bad speed breakers in its stride without much of a problem. What it does not get is a sunroof, and it's not needed on cars like this. It affects the torsional rigidity of the car. And for those of you who stick the necks of your kids out of a sunroof, please don't do it. It's extremely dangerous. Don't do it. Now, coming towards the rear, you'll have the shark fin antenna. You have this spoiler which looks really nice. And this, by the way, is a notchback. For those of you who don't understand the term, a notchback is a combination of kind of a saloon and a hatchback. So the whole trunk goes up, as you can see, along with the rear windscreen. It goes up. It's not just a trunk. And just look at this massive boot space of 600 liters. The rear seat is 60-40 split, and the tailgate, of course, is powered. You get this Octavia lettering in black. You also have this RS badging here, this beautiful spoiler, Skoda badging in black, and then you have this diffuser and a twin exhaust. What a sexy looking car for our market. It's probably the sexiest looking car until its price range. If you talk about this competition, there isn't any really. This car tries to compete with the likes of the BMW 340i. Of course, that car has almost 100 HP more. It's a rear wheel. Also, this is just a front wheel drive. So that car is definitely superior in terms of its acceleration, its road holding. But here at BIC, this car showed us that this can try and catch up with the car, which is far more expensive. And this is the only alternative that you really have. Of course, you have the Golf GTI, the platform on which this car also sits. Fantastic machine, and it shows in the way this car handles as well. You also have the option of the BMW M2, which is a smaller car, but it would give you the thrills which are somewhat similar. And if you're not after the kind of performance that this car is offering, then you also have the Camry. But I'm pretty sure those who are after this car are not going to look at the Camry at all. The blinkers here on this car are swipe out, and I really love the way this looks. My only concern is once you load it up, it may be a bit of an issue over bad surfaces, over some vicious speed breakers. But boy, oh boy, what a car, what a machine. Let's also have a look at the interior of this car, which really tries to match up with some really expensive cars in terms of the materials that have been used and the features that you have inside. So guys, this is how the key looks like. It looks like a very premium key, glossy black, and this steel kind of a look, very beautiful. Skoda logo here, lock, unlock, and boot release buttons. And it obviously comes with a proximity sensor. Just come close to the car and it locks automatically. This is a sports car, so of course it sits low. And once you get inside the car, you'd realize that in terms of positioning, it punches above its weight. Now, mind you, this is a CBU, and that's why the hefty price tag. But had it not been a CBU, the kind of interior that this car has is absolutely top notch. It gets some really premium materials inside. We'll talk about that. But just have a look at all of these materials here. They're all soft to touch. You have this beautiful suede material here, soft to touch materials here. Although the lower part here is of a hard plastic variety. The Canton audio system here is 650 watts, gets 11 speakers and one subwoofer. You have child lock buttons, which are electronic, sitting here along with the window buttons, all auto up and down. Two-way memory function. You get seat massage function. And of course, everything is electric up here, including a four-way lumbar support. So you have this Octavia branded scuff plate here. And you also have that Skoda projection in the form of a puddle lamp. These seats are sports seats, very, very special. All of this really makes this car feel top notch, unlike anything else that you'll see below this price point. And let's now also have a look at the other features that you have inside of the cabin. Now, the push start button brings this beautiful 13-inch screen to life. The instrument console is also a 10-inch unit. And it's all very high res, looks really beautiful. The steering wheel is leather wrapped with these dimples, and it's decut. You have this RS badging here, Skoda lettering here, and it feels really nice and beautiful. The dash here is made of soft touch material. Again, you have this beautiful suede material here with contrasting red stitching. This material is also of a very high quality. But what would really impress you are these seats, which is a combination of suede, leather, and this contrasting red stitching. It's quilted with this RS badging here. The headrests are fixed, and the headlining is also of a very high quality. The interior is all black, makes you feel really special. Of course, this is a sports car, so you have steel pedals with rubber studs, and at the center console you have these two USB-C sockets. Wireless charging, both of these are 45 watt. You have drive and sport modes, two cup holders, auto hold. This is the electronic parking brake, and this is the armrest, which by the way is height adjustable. In terms of safety, this car gets a whole suite of safety aids, and it also gets an electronic diff lock, as I mentioned, which is the highlight. It gets as many as 10 airbags. No sunroof, like I mentioned, because it requires to have that torsional rigidity. It also gets this beautiful HUD right up front, which again is a specialty on this car. And if you look at the seats, they also get this additional thigh support, which by the way is extendable. Overall, the cabin gives you a feeling of a car that is sporty yet very luxurious and comfortable. And below this price point, you would not find this kind of a cabin with this kind of a sporty as well as luxurious feel. And this truly is a sports car and a family car rolled into one. Now, apart from choosing your drive or sport modes from here, you also have this mode button here, so you can choose from eco, normal, sport and individual modes. And of course, in the individual mode, you can customize the kind of settings that you want. By pressing set, you can set all of these settings to your liking. And it also comes with this park button, which brings on the rear view camera on this one, but I'll also show you the 360-degree camera on the other car. Alright guys, so this is the car with the 360-degree camera, and as you can see right now, this is the wide mode. You can also choose the narrower mode, and this here, as you can see, is the 360-degree mode. Now, whichever angle you want to have a look at, you just have to choose from here. So this is the front view, this here is the rear view, and you can also have a look at the front, and you also can have a look at both the wheels, left and right, by pressing on either of these two areas. Now, this is the full screen mode, and you can bring it back on by swiping to the left or right. The quality is not top notch, it's not the best we have seen. There are better cameras around. The resolution could have been better, but it's clear enough. Now, you also get a camera clean function. As you can see, I just cleaned the camera, the rear camera wipe. Also, what I did not show you was that the headlights on this car come with a washer function, and I'll just demonstrate to you right now how they work. You also get a 3-zone climate control, and you have a couple of these buttons which allow you for demisting the screens. Now, in terms of the suspension, this gets a McPherson strut setup up front. As I mentioned, it also gets an electronic diff. At the rear, you also get a multi-link suspension, and it also get a multi-element axle. So this car gets a sports suspension which allows it to ride over everyday roads with ease, while also allowing it to have a special capability while you're driving hard around bends. So in terms of its ability, especially for a front wheel drive, this car feels fantastic. Like I mentioned while I was driving as well, the steering is very progressive and it feels light and nimble when you're driving at slow speeds, and as the speed increases and while you're cornering hard, it is very progressive, feels very true, and feels really nice when you are in a mood to have fun. The steering weight also changes as you change the driving modes. As you can see, the mirrors here are heated, so this is going to be a great advantage when it's raining. And then you also have these reading lights which are touch sensitive, so you don't have a button for it, you just have to press on the light itself. You have a sunglasses holder, and you also have vanity mirrors with illumination at both sides. Now, one thing that I would want to crib about is that the seats, while they are heated, they are not ventilated. So if you want heated seats, you have them available, but you don't have ventilated seats on this 50 lakh rupee car. Since this is a CBU and not meant for India, but for the European conditions primarily, where people are looking for heated seats, not for ventilation. So the screen and everything else is fantastic. But another important feature that this car gets is native maps, and you can bring it on by just pressing on this icon. The system is also wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compliant. The list of all the safety features on this car can be seen on the screen. In fact, on this screen, you'll be able to see all the features that this car comes loaded with as standard. Let's also now get to the back seat and see what are the amenities which this 50 lakh rupee car ex-showroom will get you as a passenger. So unlike the front, you don't have soft to touch materials here. Although this armrest here is soft to touch, you'll sink into the seat at the back because this sits quite low. You have this little pocket here, magazine holder, and a very capacious, really big bottle holder as well. The seats are really nicely contoured, and you have plenty of knee room. You have enough room for your feet as well. And as you can see, despite this being a sports car, there is ample headroom as well. I'm 5 feet 10, and even if you are 6 feet or 6 feet 1, you would not have any problem. The doors also shut with that unmistakable Skoda thud. Feels like a tank, like they always have been saying, and that applies to this car as well. Now, this car here also has the 3rd zone AC, as I was mentioning, and these are the cars that you'll get here in India. So you'll be able to control the temperature also while you're seated in the back seat. You get 2 USB sockets at the back, and this is a very nifty place here. You can put your wallet, cell phone. This is a very usable space along with 2 cup holders. Then you have 2 more cup holders here and some space for a wallet or a cell phone. You can also access the boot by bringing this whole thing down. So you have this little window here to access the boot. The seat, like I mentioned while I was showing you the boot, is 60-40 split. Again, just like the front, you have a combination of leather and suede along with this contrasting red stitching. 3 individual headrests. You have these individual reading lights which are sensitive to the touch, and the thigh support is extended for some really comfortable journeys over longer distances. You don't have any blinds here, although you do have a hook here, a coat hook here, a proper 3-point seat belt for the 3rd passenger, a proper 3rd headrest, and the recline angle for the seats is also quite apt, I must say. Feels very comfortable, very nice, very spacious. And this, despite being a sports car, would be very comfortable if you're ferrying your family around over even long journeys. Not very suitable for a 5th passenger, of course, because the seats are contoured, and also you have this panel sitting right in the middle. You of course will get your rear AC vents, and as you can see there, you also have ambient lighting on this car. for the kind of things that this car can do on a track like the Bodh International Circuit, it is really probably the most comfortable car that you can buy this side of 50 lakh rupees. So that was that, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to Motoroids, and until next time, this is your friend Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.